Hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining with us today. Our webline will be officially start at 4 p.m. That means like in 3 minutes. Right now, thank you for your patient waiting. As you can see, there's a QR code on our screen. You can scan this QR code and to join our group. Here, we will send the webline materials and also we will announce more information for other webinars on different topics. You can send any advice and maybe you need to the free one-on-one training request. Also, you can leave your message in this group. Thank you for your patiently waiting. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us with us today. And our topic today is about the electronic invoicing and tax and accounting. That everything will make your business more simple. And before we start, I will have a brief introduction about our agenda. First of all, we will have two speakers. They have extensive experience about the invoicing for the e-commerce sellers, about the tax policy, about how to better management our finance. The first one is Desmond Law. He's the CEO from the SQL. Here, he will help us navigate tax, invoicing, and have a smarter accounting here. So as you can see, he's the expert on the industry-specific invoice topics for our e-commerce sellers and accounting clients. And the second one is also a keynote and important and a professional expert. He is the Ren Yi is the marketing chief from the BigSeller. He will here to help us using the BigSeller for the invoicing and the financial management. He will have a practical case to show us how to connect the BigSeller with SQL, how to use the BigSeller to help you manage your every data, the orders and the products, and also the financial management. All right, after these two speakers speaking and speech, we will have a live Q&A session. In the Q&A session, you can leave your advice, your questions directly in the YouTube chat box, and we will have let our two experts to answer your questions, give you a perfect guidance. All right. So let's get started right now. Let's welcome the first speaker, the Desmond Law. Let's welcome.
Testing, sound check. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Vicky and BigSeller for having me here. I'm Desmond from SQL Accounting. And of course, today I would like to share with you the LHTN e-invoice requirement. SQL has been doing many seminars throughout Malaysia, and the full flash of e-invoice, I guess you need 3 hours to learn it. Of course, today we are going to have a very specific, industrial specific for e-commerce merchants and what you should get ready for e-commerce, for e-invoice. And here, of course, today will be about 30-40 minutes and it's very industry specific. Let's start today on this e-invoice. Of course, SQL has been doing pretty well for the past year. We have done many seminars to get people onboarding. And e-invoice, what is it about? Of course, LHDN wants your data and how and who should send the data to LHDN server. Why e-invoice? Because LHDN, or we call it the IRB, Inland Revenue Department, Malaysia, they want all the buying and selling information to be uploaded to the LHDN server. And first questions many will ask, what and when shall I be onboarded? Okay, the date has been changed many times, and this is the final date. As you can see here, the LHDN requirement will be based on your year assessment 2022. Year assessment means your year end, your accounts. Your accounts that year ended in the year of 2022 based on the turnover. So you have the batch 1, batch 2, 100 millions, 25 millions, batch 3, batch 4, the recent one. Recent one will be the January. So it's 1 to 5 million turnover that you should be onboarding by now. How if I'm a new company? I don't have 2022 accounts, and at that time I have not formed my company, yes, that time I have my company in year 2022, but it doesn't hit 1 million. By 2023, 2024, 2025, these subsequent 3 years, one of the year only I hit the 1 million ringgit. So I will be as a batch 5. That will be going to start in July. A few more months time. You still have time. A few more months time. July 2026. And so go back and look at your account. Ask your accountant. So whether 2022 you have the account, if it doesn't have, of course, that is the start date that you need to adhere to. E-commerce transactions. E-commerce from LHDN, they do have a specific chapter for this industry. For Shopee, for Lazada, for TikTok shops. So what is the definition? The definition of e-commerce is the platform is collecting the fees, the selling, the revenue, and the platform will charge the transaction fees before paying to the merchant. So if this is the case, this is e-commerce. So of course, e-commerce, you all know that with Shopee, Lazada, and of course, if you are talking about the food, GrabFood, or even the Food Panda, is also a e-commerce vendors. The law says, okay, in e-commerce, it's very different than the ordinary normal trading company. If today you are selling to your end user by normal trading selling, of course, you need to adhere to the normal e-invoice law. If you are fully on board to Shopee, Lazada, and sell through this e-commerce, of course, you have the other set of the law, e-invoice law, to follow. Okay, first of all, today we are going to drill down to purely on the e-commerce. Of course, if you have other businesses dealing with e-invoice, you need to deal with e-invoice, you can always join our other seminars that takes you about 2 or 3 hours to master it. So today we have 30 minutes just to go through e-commerce. First of all, the law says when you sell something to the purchaser, normally the seller, the merchant or the vendor need to raise e-invoice. Raise e-invoice, it means that you need to ask the IC number. You need to get the TIN number from the buyer. Okay, when every time I mention you need e-invoice, it means we need to get the IC number. If it doesn't need e-invoice, means you do not ask for the IC number. Okay, so now who should get the IC number from the purchaser? It's e-commerce platform, not the merchant, not you or me as a merchant in the platform. we do not communicate with the buyer. The purchaser goes to Lazada, goes to Shopee, they log in. If they want e-invoice, Shopee and Lazada will raise e-invoice and send to LHDN server to validate before giving to the buyer. So as a merchant, we do nothing. As a merchant, let's say I'm the seller at Lazada, I do not need to entertain the request of the e-invoice by the purchaser. So this is very unique law only for e-commerce vendors. So now the LHDN wants the statistics of the buyer, that what had they buy from Shopee and Lazada, and why should e-invoice be validated? Because these are the bills later the buyer, the purchaser, they are getting the bill to claim as their business expense. Normally, those who ask for e-invoice is normally they want to deal with the tax deductibility. That's number one. If company, they want to offset as expenses, tax deductibility. If it's personal, they have personal claims. They're buying computers, there'll be personal relief. Buying sports equipments, they can claim lifestyle relief. This will make a person, even not a company, will ask for an e-invoice from Shopee or Lazada. So this is the motive behind why e-invoice is being asked, because of the tax deductibility. Okay. Now the purchaser log in Shopee, I need e-invoice, only Shopee will deal with this purchaser. Merchant, no need. Okay. End of the day, when I sell, when the goods is sold, as you can see here, once when I talk about the merchant, it's not only the seller. Okay, when we sell a product, we are the merchant on the e-commerce platform. If you are a logistic company, if you are the delivery company, you help Shopee and Lazada deliver. Similarly, you are also classified as e-commerce vendors. So if a customer asking, hey, can I have a bill of the delivery fees of the 30 ringgit? Can I have the e-invoice? You need not to do anything, because the Shopee will issue e-invoice with the items and with the transport delivery fees all together. So for us as vendors, we supply goods, we supply the delivery services. Shopee and Lazada will do a sell bill. Okay, sell bill, I'll come to that later. Sell bill expenses. So I'm talking about the sales first. So today you'll be learning two new wording. Number one, e-invoice by Shopee, Lazada. Merchant no need to do anything to the customer. Secondly, there'll be a sell bill concept coming in later. Okay, this is the infographic. Of course, you can see who's at the middle. The Shopee and Lazada, that they are at the middle, and they will raise e-invoice to the buyer, and they will do a self-bill e-invoice to the merchant. Okay, to Shopee, they are paying the merchant, they are paying the delivery guys. It's the cost to Shopee. Shopee will pay you every week or every 3 days, they will pay you money. So whenever the e-commerce pays you any money to the merchant, and LHDN is interested to know how much individual merchant is earning from Shopee and Lazada. So in this case, Shopee and Lazada, they are under statutory requirement to upload a self-bill e-invoice. Okay, I'm Shopee. I bill my customer need the bill, there's e-invoice. My merchant need money, it's a cost to the Shopee. So they are liable to self-bill every payments to every single merchants with the TIN number. That's why Shopee, Lazada, TikTok, they ask your TIN number, SSM number, is because starting from now, whatever money is to you, LHDN will know. And for the merchant, you're not fall under, doesn't mean you're not hitting 1 million, you're not between the sell bill. Under e-commerce merchant, there's no threshold. It means that you might be only selling 100 ringgit. The 100 ringgit, that 100 ringgit is your income. That 100 ringgit, Shopee will send your TIN number as a sell bill and inform LHDN you are earning 100 ringgit. There's no 1 million ringgit threshold when you come to sell bill. So whenever you're onboarding to e-commerce platform, you are as a merchant, any income is being transparent. You have 10 shops. I have 1, 2, A, B, C, D, E. I open many shops in Lazada, in Shopee, and it's shared with one company number. It means that this all income will be adding up and become your income of the company. If your enterprise, will be income of you as a whole, you will add up because it's same TIN number. What is going to be uploaded to the LHDN? Actually, there are totally 55 fields to upload to LHDN. Of course, what is important under e-commerce law will be now on the e-commerce, on the buying side. Of course, the Shopee Lazada will send all the buyer's details, buyer's SSN number, buyer's TIN number, buyer's name, buyer's email address, buyer's contact number, phone number also they need, email address also they need. So in that case, LHDN server will know who is buying what item, itemized in the LHDN server, so that they can check who is purchased what item from Shopee and Lazada. If these are the statutory field, of course, you can see number 8, there's a field called classification code. Classification code, there's totally 45 codes and it's tax deductibility. If you're selling normal items doesn't involve with tax deduction. So of course, Shopee will do it for you. Shopee will bill the user as 022. Others means no special tax treatment. If you're selling computers, handphones, you can claim tax relief. So computers and handphones will be under classification code of 003. So Shopee and Lazada will put the code in so that the buyer, they get the bill, they can claim the tax relief under the Borang BE. Every year, April, the personal, they need to send the Borang BE, they need to submit. So with that, they can claim tax. So the importance of this classification code actually is for tax deductibility. Of course, this will be handled by Shopee and Lazada. We merchant, when we set up our items, Shopee and Lazada will ask you what is the item type. So that's why they can put in the correct code accordingly. As you can see here, the purchaser place order to the e-commerce platform. This is purchaser. So they place order e-commerce platform. So e-commerce platform is going to pay money to the merchant and also pay money to the service provider, example, logistic service. So that's where you can see the number 1, the item number 1 shows sell bill e-invoice. Sell bill e-invoice is where the Shopee and Lazada, they will do it. As I said, they will do it themselves when they pays you money. Every time pays you money, they will upload this logistic company getting 100,000 from me. This merchant is getting 50,000 ringgit from me. I'm paying him after deducting the expenses. So when they send the sell bill income to you, there'll be a net income, not a gross income. A net, net from the platform fees, net from marketing fees, net from these two, then whatever balance will be your income. Of course, you will have your stock costing that's under your own account book, or we call it under your own account. You're selling 100 ringgit in Shopee. Shopee deducting, let's say 3% or 5% of their fees and this fees and that fees, let's say 5%, you are getting 95 ringgit. Shopee will sell bill you on the 95 ringgit as your income, and the LHDN will know you are making 95 ringgit. So now it's your time to have SQL accounting that with the sales from the Shopee of 95 ringgit, what is the item cost? What are the salaries and expenses? Because the income is, the revenue is huge. And of course, as I know, the margin under the e-commerce is not high. Maybe you make a few percentage, but the amount is big. So for LHDN, they look at the big amount. Then, of course, it's your job to have a proper accounting or bookkeeping recordings to make all the expenses into your company accounts, so that when they come to audit you, they say, hey, you're making 1 million ringgit sales from Shopee per year. Then you need to prove to them, yeah, 1 million ringgit sales, but I'm only earning 30,000 ringgit. So how you calculate 30,000? So of course here with the big data of this LHDN, so every merchant's sales are very transparent. What is going to upload by Shopee Lazada about you as a merchant? So they will put your name, your TIN number, your registration number, your address, your contact number, and all these informations. When they upload your income to LHDN server, this will expose to the server of LHDN as a document. We call it sell bill e-invoice. Sell bill expenses to Shopee is your income as a merchant. When we talk about e-invoice, there's always the deadline to adhere. So there's many confusion around the market. So when should I submit my e-invoice? When is the deadline? So there has been many changes along the way, I mean, for the past 1 year. So let's look at the deadline. Okay, these are the deadlines important for you to follow. Of course, for the e-invoice, the first one, there's no deadline if the customer giving their TIN number to you. Example, you're not only selling in Shopee Lazada, you have your own shop. So if the customers walk in, I want e-invoice from you, then there's no date limit. They come in, they can tell last month e-invoice, or let's say this invoice this month, I bill already the invoice. You can upload to e-invoice 3 months later. Invoice is this month, because when you sell the item to your customer, of course, they say, I want e-invoice. Okay, then you pay me first. If they are not paying, they after 2 months only pay you. After 2 months only, you upload to LHDN e-invoice. Perfectly okay. If it's e-invoice, there's no specific timing issue after your invoice to validate. If it's consolidated e-invoice, means the customer comes in telling you, I don't want e-invoice, you just sell to me. This we call console. Console e-invoice will happen in your own shop, will not happen in Shopee. Shopee and Lazada, they will furnish the console e-invoice for you. But I'm referring consolidated e-invoice and e-invoice, this 1 and 2, if you running your own shop selling other than e-commerce platform. If you're solely on e-commerce platform, this 1 and 2 not relevant to you. Shopee and Lazada will help you to do it. You no need to do. Item 3 is on the foreign income. Foreign income means that your company, you sell to Singapore, you sell to Australia, or this company, you have Airbnb income. Airbnb is from Singapore. So somebody book your apartment, and of course the income you put under company. Then all this foreign income, if you have foreign income of your company, then make sure you need to submit the e-invoice on the foreign income before the end of next month. January income, let's say Agoda said, or Airbnb said, you are earning 1,000 ringgit for this rental. They're paying you 1,000 ringgit. So the deadline for you to tell the LHDN server, means that I submit to LHDN as e-invoice is before February end. You have 1 month time. Because sell bill e-invoice, is the many merchants now, when I sell in Shopee, customer buy, customer e-invoice, Shopee handle. LHDN knows my income and my items are all imported from China, imported from Indonesia, imported from Japan. If you have imported goods as your cost of sales, then the law says the items that you import this month, you have 2 months time, the end of second month, to submit sell bill e-invoice on imported goods. Okay, you see how you are a merchant. If I am a merchant, I only sell through Shopee, Lazada. My items are all buying from Malaysia. Very easy. You do not need to raise e-invoice. You do not need to raise the sell bill because I'm only buying from Malaysia. So those Malaysian companies selling to me, they already will issue e-invoice to me. I can ask for e-invoice, hey, bill me. So for you, you do not have additional steps. If you are a merchant buying from overseas, you have the K1 form, or you're buying from Taobao. So whatsoever it is, if it's not a local vendor, a local company as a vendor, then it's your job to get SQL accounting and furnish the sell bill e-invoice. Okay, what is sell bill e-invoice? Means that I need to tell LHDN I'm buying 100 tables at USD or renminbi 100,000. I need to submit a sell bill e-invoice. The K1 date, the K1 form, you have K1 form, the K1 date, 2 months. Okay, example, my importation is this month, January. Before March 31st, you need to furnish. If you do not furnish the e-invoice by that date, then you'll be kernel penalty because the law says importation of goods, yes, you need. Importation of service, also you need. Service means that it's a design, it's not the goods, it's a service performed outside Malaysia. Then you have 1 month. 1 month after the earliest of payment date or invoice date. Okay, this is we summarize for you. This is the deadline. Okay, deadline, if you have these items, then you need to adhere to these deadlines. If you doesn't have the items stated here, then of course you can do it anytime. So like, as I said, the e-invoice can do it anytime. Invoice you need to raise. Invoice you need to raise. But e-invoice means validate. Validate to LHDN. You can wait. Because when I bill my customer, I don't know whether he will come back to return goods or not, to exchange goods or not. And I don't know whether he is going to pay or not, especially B2B. If B2C, okay, B2C means I sell to consumer, I sell to you, I collect money, okay. B2B is I sell to you, you take 3 months only pay me. Then these 3 months, I don't know whether you're going to pay me or not. So e-invoice, I can get your TIN number. You want e-invoice, can. After you pay me, after 3 months, I do the e-invoice for you. But invoice, I raise now. E-invoice, I validate later. It's okay. So SQL has this flexibility. Of course, our consultant will talk this in depth because today is a short session. So you just have the common sense or concept for e-invoice, then we'll be good. For SQL accounting, of course, we are not only building for compliance. Compliance means that in Malaysia, many laws. You have SST, withholding tax, you have e-invoice, many requirements, statutory requirements, and it's very complicated calculations. And as SST also many tax rates. So this we build for compliance. No doubt we can do it well. And what we are doing more is we build for flexibility, because you might have many stores, you have many branches, different managers to handle, different salesmen to submit e-invoice. All this can be done. You can talk to us you can go to sql.com and talk to us. Then we help you on accounting and e-invoice compliance. Of course, you can incorrect fields. As I said, the invoice I raise now, I only validate 3 months later. How do I know after 3 months this invoice is sufficient information to validate? I don't want 3 months later when I submit invoice, then only I know, this is not able to validate. So in SQL, we have this. We have this too. Today, you raise an invoice. I want to check the logic with LHDN server. We send to LHDN server and check the logic. Tell it's okay. The perfectly good on this document to be validated. You keep it until 3 months or 4 months later, the customers pay you. You click a button. All the paid customer, all the 100 customers, the system go and one by one send to validate. After validate and one by one email to respective buyer. Go to their email address. So you don't need to send one by one on the e-invoice. So this is the helps that, as I said, on the flexibility. And of course, SQL accounting not only can send e-invoice to LHDN server, we can go to LHDN server and grab 1/million TIN number from all the companies' TIN number and personal TIN from LHDN server, and we can grab the bills that your supplier bills you. Your supplier bills you, then you want to key your system. So you can click a button, then import for LHDN server. Why you do this? Because many bosses, they worry their staff mistake. So they want us to grab from LHDN server, take in the bill. 100 ringgit bills will be 100 ringgit. If supplier bill me 100 ringgit, I don't want my staff to key 1,000 ringgit. So 100 ringgit means 100 ringgit. So they are externally checked on the cost. They call it corporate governance. So this is what only SQL accounting will have. Okay, of course, SQL, we have desktop, we have cloud-based, we can use mobile. So we are the only software, 3 platforms you can use. Many software will tell you cloud is cloud, so you cannot use desktop. Because why some they use desktop is because they want the desktop flexibility on customization. They want to calculate commissions. They want to calculate the bill by bill profitability by Shopee and Lazada. Shopee and Lazada will give you the amount, but you don't know how much profit you make. Yes, you are making the gross profit 20%, but after the delivery fees, after the marketing fees, you're not making any money on this bill. We will give you itemized profit and bill level profit clearly. So from BigSeller, when they import the data to us, then of course we will analyze for you. Okay, of course you can scan the bill and we can input into SQL. You don't need to rekey. Of course, this we call it AI scan. So this is some of the features that we are helping our users from accounting. And of course, we understand as a merchant, you need to deal with a lot of transactions, already very headache. So accounting part just let us to deal for you. And wherever you are in Malaysia, we have all the coverage, we have all the consultants to cover and service you. We can come on site to train you. You want online also can, you want on site one-to-one also can, because we understand to learn something. And sometimes you want a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, just let us know. Okay, let's make this e-invoice challenge to be ironed out with SQL accounting. And thank you for the time of having me here. I hope that today you are clear with what LHDN wanted and what you can do to get at least a compliance, minimum compliance to LHDN. Okay, thank you very much, and pass back to Miss Vicky.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. And with your presentation, I have a better understanding about SQL and about Malaysia e-commerce invoice.
Okay,
and
so this is the QR. If you are interested with SQL, you can go sql.com.my or scan here. You can print screen, scan here, you send your message, and our team, our consultant will help you on this. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you have
thank you for having me here. Pass back, Miss Vicky.
Yes. Thank you. So everyone, if you have interesting and it is SQL, you can scan this QR code. Okay, thank you very much. And next, let's move on for the next speaker, the marketing chief from the BigSeller. He will show us a practical case. Hello, can you hear me, Renyi? Can you hear me?
Hi everyone, thanks Vicky.
Okay, so right now you can start to share your screen and start your presentation. Okay, it's over to you.
All right.
You can start now.
It was a great presentation by Mr. Desmond Law. So I believe most of us, we have a clear picture of e-invoicing right now. So as for my part, as for BigSeller, we are more to practical. So in terms of like au- accounting, we have this SQL account integration. So once you integrated SQL account with BigSeller, of course, there's a few setup we need to do. And number one is regarding the product. Regarding the product, we got to do the SKU mapping. So this is very simple and straightforward. Our mapping here is that you can choose a product and click mapping, and you can see the instruction here. You can see the instruction here as if we have map, we have the item code in SQL. We have the item code in SQL. Our system will map it automatically. Otherwise, we will create, BigSeller will create a new SQL item code and map it. So make sure you have done all the mapping before we do anything, before we create invoice or PO. Next will be store mapping. Store mapping is that we need to map with our store, whether is it Shopee, Lazada, or TikTok. Okay, and as for this part, some of our client, they would like to map, like they have, as if they have multiple store, they might map to the same SQL customer code, or maybe every single store they map with one SQL customer code. That depends on your accountant. How are you going to do the accounts? The next one will be warehouse mapping. I think this one is optional, as if you have the warehouse module with SQL, you can map it. Otherwise, you can skip. So supplier mapping. Supplier mapping is required only when you want to create purchase invoice using BigSeller. So you create mapping with the supplier and also the SQL supplier number. Next will be the most important info, which is fees mapping. So sales invoice fees mapping, which included for shipping fee, actual logistic shipping fee paid by seller, transaction fee, including commissions, transaction fees, service fee, and etc. Discount, including seller and platform discount. Coupon, including seller and platform voucher. Refund fee, which includes platform refund and adjustment fee. And for the other fee, which includes platform fee adjustment, compensation, and or other fee. And we have the default fee. If there are unmet fees in invoice, BigSeller will automatically use the default fee. So what to be filled in this part here is the GL code in SQL. So we need to fill the GL code. As if you are new to SQL, probably you need to create a new GL code in SQL in order to fill in this part. And for purchase invoice fee settings, we need to fill in for shipping fee. This one is for purchase. You need to fill in the shipping fee. Is there any other fee? And is there any tax fee? As well as the first mile ship fee, your transportation fee. Save it, and then we proceed to payment. Add payment method mapping. So this payment mapping will map with the payment received. With the payment received, the payment you withdraw to whichever bank account. So you need to map it with this GL code. This GL code you created in SQL. So with this, it can be like multiple store withdrawing to the same bank account, or each of your store withdraw to a different account. It's up to you. So lastly is the other setting is the rules to generate sales invoice number. So we have two methods here. First one is auto-generated by the system, which is the running number created by BigSeller. Secondly is to fill in order number. So by creating an invoice, BigSeller will fill in the invoice number as according to the orders number. So after we have done the setting, now we can proceed with the SQL account features to create sales invoice. As for order, we are able to create sales invoice when the order status is updated as the completed. Order status is completed. So we can select the orders wherever we see the orders here, which means the orders number, the order status is completed. So we can select the order and we can click create sales invoice. So it'll take a while, it'll load, and then it'll move to create successfully. And now we have created the invoice and we need to wait for the payment to validate. Once the payment is released, it's released by Marketplace, by Shopee, Lazada, and TikTok. When you receive the payment, we can go to customer payment slip to create customer payment slip. Over here, we can select by create time, push time, or document date. So we can filter by the date. We can filter by the date, and then we can filter to create customer payment slip. And over here, we can do it by bulk. Over here, we can do it by bulk to create customer payment slip. And then we map with the store. We map with the store and the payment method. And over here, we need to select the sales invoice. So we select with the sales invoice. Here, when we are selecting the sales invoice, we can select based on the settlement date or invoice date. So we can do this filter here. We can do with this filter and selecting the orders in bulk. Once done, we can save it, or we can click save and push to push it to SQL immediately. So this part is for the orders. For the supplier wise, we create purchase invoice. So once you create the purchase order in BigSeller, and you can make the purchase order as purchase invoice and synchronize it, push it to SQL. Okay, just click confirm, push it to SQL, and whenever you have make payment to the supplier, you can create supplier payment slip to knock off. So this one is straightforward. Just select the supplier and the payment method, and then choose the invoice, and we may save and or maybe save and push. So as for additional, other than this, additional, we can look into our finance report for the payment reconciliation. Payment reconciliation, we have two parts here, to release and release. So to release is the total amount you are yet to receive. Release is the total amount you have received from the marketplace, from Shopee. And this one is for TikTok and Lazada as well. Lazada is called settlement amount. So for BigSeller, for the release amount, we filtered it for you. We filtered it based on the status. So you can check whether as if there is any abnormal status. So you can check through with the abnormal order and to check with the estimated release amount and platform release amount. It is abnormal because it has an amount of difference. So whether it is positive or negative. So other than this, you might be interested to understand the profit report. So in terms of profit report, we have three types of profit: order profit, stop profit, and the merchant SKU profit, the breakdown. So as for order profit, we are getting all the data from the marketplaces. So you can view the breakdown, all the transaction fees, all the fees, all the charges, as well as the co-funding vouchers. Co-funding vouchers, you may check in the template from marketplace. This is the general template. So next will be stop profit. As for this stop profit, we will synchronize the advertisement fee for Shopee. We will include for Shopee automatically, as if you like to make a record to calculate for TikTok ads or for Lazada ads or ads outside the marketplace. You may click this edit other fee, select the time, location store, and select the fee type, advertisement, and add by value. How much is your total expenses for the advertisement during this period of time? And select the allocation method, whether you want to allocate it by store quantity or by order quantity. So other than advertisement fee, is there any other fee we can include it? Yes, of course. We can include our rental fee, our packing material, and as well as for any other fee. Any other fee, it can be like utility fee, it can be like your labor fee, salaries paid, and any other fees which is not included here, you can make it as others. So save, and our system will calculate it for you. And for all of the report, you may download to export it. All right. I think that's all for today. I'll pass it back to Vicky. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I think your speech is very clear, and right now I can clearly understand how BigSeller can connect with SQL. Thank you again. And right now, I will invite all the experts to our stage right now. As you can see, as I can see, I have connected so many questions here. So right now is the Q&A part. Let's answer the audience question one by one. Can you see the comments?
Okay, next.
Yes, so the first one, and so for the e-invoice delay will delay to 2027, is that correct?
Okay, for the PM announcement, that delay, actually it's not delay. From LHDN latest Q&A, they published the guideline. It is an extension of the relaxation period. Okay, example, you should be in January 2026, now January. Normally, you have 6 months relaxation period. Means that this 6 months, you can do consolidated e-invoice. No need to do individual e-invoice. You do console. But this 6 months is being extended to 12 months. Means 2027 onwards, you need to do individual e-invoice. Example, you have customers buying more than 10,000 ringgit in one bill, you need to upload. But this 12 months from now, 2026 to end of the year, you still need to do monthly consolidated e-invoice. Means you need to submit the monthly sales so that LHDN will know. So it's not a postponement, it's extension of the relaxation period. That's what LHDN clarify on this. Of course, we always know when the Prime Minister, when he talking some sentence, you might think other way. You always look at the law that announced later.
Okay, thank you. And we got a question two is for the Renyi. Like for import goods, seller could submit the invoice through BigSeller. Is that correct? Can we submit the invoice? Yes.
Okay, imported goods means it's your purchase. If it is your purchase, means you're buying from China, you're buying from Japan. So the Japan seller will give you the bill and you pay them by TT, example. So now this bill, you need to declare under LHDN sell bill to let LHDN know you are importing something from Japan and from China. So this in SQL, you can do sell bill. Of course, if big sellers, you have the ability to call LHDN server to submit. I don't think big seller have this feature, right? This feature on sell bill submission, right? If that the case, you need to get SQL accounting to submit the sell bill invoice on importation of goods.
All right. And I have another audience, and he is asking, like, he has 4 shops in BigSeller, but all 4 shop sales goes to one shop sales. So he asked about it can be 4 separate shop sales. For
Yes.
Renyi, can you answer this question? Renyi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think probably is the setting, the mapping of the store. We need to check with the mapping.
Okay.
That's the cost.
In SQL, there's always a project code or department code. So of course, the good news is you have 10 shops, one company, one SSM, you only buy one set SQL. You don't need to buy 10 set of SQL. One set SQL can link to 10 stores. Of course, when you import in big sellers, you need to set the department or project code. So when these informations roll to SQL, then we know this is shop 1, shop 2, shop 3, shop 4. So yes, you only buy one set SQL account.
Okay, and another question is also about the BigSeller for the e-invoice. He asked about whether the invoice should be created. Invoice should be created when order shipped out, right? Since if they create the invoice only when the order completed, their stock balance and live and updated as when the product shipped out is not directly deducted from our stock balance. So Renyi, maybe you can answer these questions.
Okay. So this one probably it can be 2 parts. One is regarding the inventory. Inventory for big seller, we are live inventory. So once we receive order, once you have order, we will allocate stock. And so once the order is being shipped out from the warehouse, we will deduct in the inventory. But when we allocate stock, the amount buyer see already deducted from the actual amount. So when we created completed order, this one is to avoid other issues like cancel order, refund and return, all this to avoid, so that we make sure order status is completed, and then we create sales invoice and push it to SQL.
Okay, and another question is, if this purchase invoice is created at BigSeller, so the stock will be at the BigSeller or in SQL? So maybe both of you can answer these questions.
Renyi answer
As
first.
for this one, yeah, for the purchase invoice created at BigSeller. So for BigSeller, as if you are using purchase order, so that you can create purchase invoice later on to push it to SQL. This one is when you are required for the inventory module in SQL. So when you want to deduct the inventory with synchronization, you must have purchase order. You must create purchase order from BigSeller and import it to SQL in order to deduct through our API integration. Otherwise, you can do it manually. You can complete it wholly in SQL.
Okay, so basically, if you are a merchant, you only selling at e-commerce, you can always in big sellers to control your stock. But if you have other businesses or shops that you're not only selling in e-commerce, you have shops, you have your warehouse, your distributions, then yes, of course, big sellers will export the purchase invoice and import into SQL. And here we will calculate the e-commerce sales, not only e-commerce sales, you have shop sales, you have your credit sales together in SQL, depending on your needs.
Okay, thank you. And another question is about, he's asking about the POS or the manual orders. Can these two kinds of orders to generate an electronic invoice? POS and manual orders.
POS system is where you sell directly to your end user. You're not going through e-commerce. You sell directly. You have shops. So in SQL POS, of course, whenever you sell, you can ask the TIN number from the buyer. That's where you submit the invoice. If the buyer said, I don't want to give you the TIN number, then of course we have a small QR code. When the buyers, they go back, if they want invoice, they self-feed in the TIN number and IC number and informations needed, then they request the invoice later. So normally on the POS system, it's up to the buyer to decide. The buyer to feed the data, there will be invoice. The buyer never feed the data, end of the month, then in SQL, we will help you to generate consolidated invoice before 7 of next month.
Okay. And another audience asked about, so they think those starting at the 2026 July 1st, but only got the 6 months extension rights to the 2000 like December, is that right?
Yes. Okay, what Prime Minister announced 1 year, it looks like a 1 year delay. Actually, it's originally 6 months plus 6 months is for January batch. So you have 1 year because up to 2027 January. But those in July batch means 6 months later, the July 2026 batch, you stay same 6 months relaxation. You never get extension because by 2027 January, everybody need to be invoiced.
Okay, and another question is like, the BigSeller will deduct, but from SQL stock won't be updated. Maybe he want to ask about if the stock deducted from SQL, will it update the BigSeller?
Okay, this part, it will depend on the API. Okay. Just now I saw a question saying that big sellers not able to link to SQL Cloud. The earlier version, yes. So now we have the new API which we released 2 months ago. Of course, big seller can look into it. So big sellers can link to SQL Desktop, can link to SQL Cloud, any version. So of course, if you want to read some data from SQL, it's able. So for now, of course, is one way. Big sellers data come to SQL. For now, SQL data is not feeding to big sellers on the transactions. So unless there's a market needs, of course, big sellers will do the enhancement.
Okay. And another question is about the navigating revenue orders cannot create sales invoice. Is that correct? The navigating revenue orders cannot create sales invoice in BigSeller. Rain, can you help us answer this question? Negative revenue orders cannot create a sales invoice.
Regarding this one, I think probably we can get the contact and then we look into this issue.
Yes, so if you want to get the detailed solutions, you can leave your message on our group, and we will have the official staff, the customer support, to contact you to help you solve these problems. All right,
But
and
no worries, as if it is a problem to be solved, we will solve definitely.
yes, so don't worry about it. Okay, and the next one, if we have shop, the cash sales, credit sales, marketplace, yes, and the purchase invoice will be key into the SQL and how it transfer the stock to the marketplace. So
Renyi can
Yeah,
answer
sure.
this one.
So if we have shop, cash sales, credit sales, marketplace, purchase invoice with key in SQL, how it transfer the stock. Okay, regarding stock and invoice is two matter. So as if for the stock, you want it to be updated to marketplace, of course, you need to do a stock in BigSeller. You need to stock in whether by purchase, you use purchase stock in, purchase order stock in, purchase receive, or you can create a manual order, manual stock in.
Okay.
okay, thank you very much. And I think next, yes, about the question of 4 shops in one SQL. So he wonder who should I ask him and help him. Maybe, yes, you can leave your message. As you can see, there's a QR code on the screen. You can leave your personal message in this group, and the BigSeller will send staff to assist you about this one. Yes. All right, and if you don't have any other questions, I think it's about to be end time, and thank you very much again for the 2 speakers for your valuable experience sharing. And also, I want to also mention that there's a QR code here. Yes, you can scan this QR code, and if you any advice, any of your questions in our group, we will have the official staff to help you to solve your problems. Thank you again. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. So have a nice day. Bye bye. I hope to see you next time.
Have a nice day.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.